Let's get right to today's action. We have Yudi Chang. He is Ace Investment Strategist, chief trader, who says stocks are heading even higher. He's betting on the banks. Robert Luna, SureVest Capital Management CEO, is calling for a short-term correction, but he's got ways to play a pullback. And Larry Shover's in the pits of the CME. He's got all those commodity actions covered. And Larry, let's start with you, and let's start with gold. It is still under $1,400. It had a bid up in midday, but after hours it has been trading down a little bit, and oil has barely gained any ground at all from yesterday's losses. Okay, hold on, Larry. Hold that thought. We'll get to commodities, but right now we want to hear about Intel earnings. We have the CFO coming up. Let's hear what those earnings are. Adam, go ahead.
Actually, it's Dennis Neal. Hello, how you doing, David? It's Dennis Neal here. You know, revenue comes in at $12.6 billion, so that basically matches the expectation of $12.59 billion. But the big surprise, I think, is going to be that Intel's earnings per share fall 1 penny shy of Wall Street expectations, coming in at 40 cents instead of 41 cents per share from Intel. Of course, that company getting buffeted by the slowdown in PC and laptop sales as everyone moves over to tablets and iPhones, and especially people going to be watching for how their PC division did. I don't have that number just yet. If I get it, I'll let you know, David.
Right. My old Forbes on Fox friend, how could I not know, is Dennis Neal. By the way, it looks, as we're looking at after hours jump in the stock's price, that the weak results have already been factored into a lot of what's happening with Intel. We're going to be specific about asking questions with the CFO coming up just a second.
David,
but bottom line is that after hours trading is up on Intel. Go ahead, Liz.
Indeed. Part of that may be that you may remember that in the last quarter, people got a little concerned and freaked out that Intel had said that they would spend for capital expenditures $13 billion for the year. Now they're downscaling that. They're now saying that they will only spend $12 billion on things like new plants and upgrading old plants, so they have cut $1 billion off that. That maybe perhaps has calmed down some investors and analysts who felt that $13 billion, when the PC market appears to be at least shrinking a little bit, would be a little too excessive. So they are now saying that they will cut about $1 billion from their prior expectation of full-year capex at the moment. This stock, as you can see, moving higher in the aftermarket session.
Let's go to Larry Shover. Larry, we're going to get more details about all the new products that Intel has online, particularly a new very fast computer chip. But why do you think the bad news is being taken so well by the market?
Well, I think if you look at the options market, traders have been very, very bullish on it, and it's because if you have a 4% yield in the stock, what's baked in is something we've already talked about. 85% of their business comes from the PC. We all know that the sentiment is very, very gloomy, but I think everybody's putting a lot of cards or money on their Ultrabook, and just that is going to propel them. That's almost 100% of the market. They have 100% of that market right now. I think that's what's going to propel the stock forward. Okay. That, with the fact that it does yield about 4%.
Just a small correction, Larry, and far be it from me to correct you about anything, but I think the PC client group represents about 60%, not 80% of its revenue, but it's certainly a lot of its revenue.
I stand corrected.
All right, Liz?
Okay, so let's get to what you see on the, and I'm looking at the whisper number for Intel, which was actually a little bit higher, 42 cents. But we want to let people know we are waiting on Yahoo numbers. That's important. But Larry, can I just ask you your gut reaction on what happened today in the markets? To see this sort of comeback, I think, is pretty significant, a recoup of a big chunk of yesterday's losses. What was it like on the floor when the opening bell rang?
Well, it was very tentative. I mean, I think, yesterday, no doubt about it, left a huge mark. Everybody's looking at gold. People just didn't know what to do, and today was a comfort rally, but it was very tentative. It's very fragile right now, where people are realizing what can happen when the rug gets pulled out. When you have gold move as much as it did, is that going to happen to the stock market behind me when something else comes out? That was the sentiment today.
Sorry to interrupt you, Larry. We've got Yahoo numbers now, so stand by. Dennis, how do they look? The S&P futures are closing right now. We head back to Larry Shover in the pits of the CME. Larry.
Well, the debate rages on. Is growth cooling or is it collapsing? Are we in an inflationary environment or a deflationary environment? And lastly, where is the next growth metric going to come from? That's what's concerning everybody behind me right now as they leave for the day. What's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows? But we're looking for that next growth metric to carry the day.
Now it's called a growth metric, David.
By the way, we're going to answer all of those questions.